Let's kick off the prelim card with an amazing fight. Diego Lopez has really come on the scene lately. Sodiq Yusuff is a really good fighter as well. Diego Lopez, he almost beat Movsar Evelev, man. That was a really, really, really close fight, and I would like to see that fight again down the road once this kid gets some more experience. He is a little older than I thought, 29 years old. Sodiq Yusuff, he's one of the most fun fighters to watch in this 145-pound division. Sodiq Yusuff is an absolute G. Sodiq Yusuff is a fun fighter to watch as well. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He's got wins over guys like Andre Fili and Alex Caceres, both really, really good fighters. This fight is pretty even too. Vegas has Diego Lopez as a slight favorite, -140. Diego Lopez's ground game is unbelievable. So Yusuff has lost to Arnold Allen by decision and losing to Edson Barboza. Not a good look because Edson Barboza is an old man these days. Sodiq Yusuff is 30 years of age. He'll be 31 in a couple months. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch this fight. And Diego Lopez just has to avoid Sodiq Yusuff's hands. He's really, really good on the feet. His 3 wins, he's pretty much a decision machine. He's got 1 submission, but there's no way he's submitting Diego Lopez. I just think Diego Lopez has a lot more cleaner paths to victory than Yusuff does. He's won 4 out of his last 5. There's a KO there, a KO there. Lost to Evelev. He almost submitted him. And then another submission and another KO. So dude's got power. His power's been really coming along in his last couple of fights. You really, really see it. And he's one of the best submission ground guys at 145 pounds. I think he's going to win by submission in the second round. He's going to tire him out a little bit in the first round, and maybe he even clips him in the first round, drops him, and then goes in for a submission. I don't know if he's going to get a knockout, but if he hurts him on the feet, he's going to go get that submission. I just don't think Sodiq Yusuff has the tools to win this fight. I mean, his stand-up game, he lost to Barboza, who is, almost pushing 40. I don't know if Yusuff is going to be a top 5 guy, top 10 guy in the world at 145 pounds. I like him. I just like Diego Lopez a lot more. I think he has more ways to win. His power is really coming through. It's really translating in his last 5 fights. And his ground game is like second to none at 145 pounds. So I like Diego Lopez, second round submission to get the W as we kick off the prelims at UFC 300. The next fight on the prelims is one of my favorites, Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Harrison is the judo expert who was fighting in PFL forever. She's won 4 out of her last 5 fights. She's a good fighter. She's not transcendent, in my opinion. She's a beast, dude. I don't know if she's going to be able to make the weight, 135 pounds. We'll see. She definitely has more of a 145-pound frame, but that weight division in the UFC and in women's combat sports in general, there's just not a ton of women who can fill out that 145-pound weight division, because if you're fighting at 145, that means you're walking around 155, 160, and there's not a ton of girls that size, man. But Holly Holm is old as shit. She's 42 and a half years old. Kayla Harrison, 33. They're almost 10 years difference in age. I just think Kayla Harrison, if she makes weight, that's what we have to watch out for. Is she going to be able to make weight? And will Holly fight her if she doesn't make weight? She probably will, because Holly Holm is as tough as they come. But I think Kayla Harrison is just going to be able to get a hold of Holly Holm, use those judo throws, get her to the ground, and possibly armbar her, rear naked choke, something along the lines there. She's got a decision, a KO win, a submission, arm triangle choke. Then she lost a decision, and then she won and beat Aspen Ladd, who's not very good by decision. So she's not a super talented fighter. I think she's been hyped up a little bit too much. She's definitely not an Amanda Nunes superstar type. She's big, she's strong, and, her body is crazy, man. It's like she is just absolutely jacked. But Holly Holm is so old. But could Holly Holm use her boxing? In the last fight, Holly Holm had trouble getting off the fence. And if she had trouble getting off the fence, what was that? Was that the Brandon Silva fight? Yeah, I think it was. Where she was getting pressed up against the fence the whole fight and she couldn't get off the fence. If she's having trouble with Mayra Buena Silva doing that, Kayla Harrison is bigger, stronger, more physical. I just think she's going to have a tough time staying off her back. Tough time staying off that fence. I think Kayla Harrison's going to win a decision here, like 30-27, 29-28, something like that. So if you're looking for a prop bet, Harrison by decision seems like the bet to make. She's a pretty heavy favorite, almost minus 500. This is a fight, juice-wise, I'm staying away from. I don't love this fight. The next two fights on the prelims are absolute bangers. I wish either one of these fights would have replaced that Bo Nickal fight. Bo Nickal does not deserve to fight on the main card at UFC 300. He's fought a bunch of tomato cans that aren't even ranked in like the top 30 in the UFC, and now all of a sudden he's opening up UFC 300. I think that's a bunch of horseshit. So I would much rather see Aljo versus Calvin Kattar to open up that 300 card, or Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. Two former champions in Prochazka and Aljo. They put the work in. They deserve to be on UFC 300 main card. He might be great, but he hasn't fought anybody good. And Cody Brundage is a bum, dude. Minus 3,000 favorite on the opening fight for UFC 300. Give me a goddamn break. All right, before I lose my mind and my head blows off my shoulders, I want to talk about Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. Calvin Kattar is a really good boxer, man. He has some of the best boxing in the UFC until he ran into Max Holloway, who is an unbelievable boxer, right? Calvin Kattar is a top 5 boxer in this division. He's got really good hands, and Aljo's chin is a little suspect. We've seen him get dropped by Moraes. He got dropped by Sugar Sean. So if Calvin Kattar can hit him clean, he could hurt Aljo. Aljo has to be patient to win this fight. That's why he lost his belt to Sugar Sean, because he lunged in like a dipshit and got cracked. So he's got to fight a lot smarter, a lot more calm, a lot more calculated if he wants to beat Calvin Kattar. He's moving up to 145 pounds, so these guys punch a lot harder. Calvin Kattar is a lot bigger dude than Sugar Sean O'Malley. Their punching power is probably around the same. Sean is obviously a little longer, but Calvin Kattar is a lot more compact. His punches go from A to B really, really quickly, man. He's got really good jab, really solid right hand. I like Calvin Kattar in this fight. Aljo is coming off that knockout loss to Sugar Sean O'Malley. To me, this fight is about even. The odds makers have it pretty much even too. Minus 140 on the favorite end for Aljo, plus 120 juice coming in for the underdog, Calvin Kattar. But Calvin Kattar has not looked good in his last 5 fights. 3 losses, only wins over Dan Ige and Giga Chikadze. He's lost to Max Holloway, lost to Josh Emmett, and lost to Arnold Allen. Those guys are all really top of the food chain guys at 145 pounds, don't get me wrong. I think this fight's going to go to a decision. I think it's going to be a really close fight. But Aljo's got to fight way smarter, man. If he's going to fight like he fought Sugar Sean, rushing in, lunging in. When he lunged in and got cracked by that overhand right, he was super overextended. He threw a punch from no man's land. No protection. He lunged. His face was there, clean to hit, and bing! Sean O'Malley just ended his championship reign. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I do think Aljo's wrestling is going to kind of give him an advantage in this fight. I look for Aljo to win a decision like 29-28, but we'll really see if Aljo's wrestling and strength translate to 145 pounds. Because if he can't take down Calvin Kattar, he's really going to struggle to take down some of these other guys at 145 pounds. It looks like Merab and Sean O'Malley is next at 135 pounds. Aljo's big for 135. So we'll see what happens. I'm leaning towards Aljo. This fight could easily end in a split decision. I'm leaning towards Aljo barely. 29-28, 3-round decision for Aljo. Let's move on to the final fight of the prelims. That's Yuri Prochazka, the former champ, and Alexander Rakic. Prochazka's won 4 out of his last 5. Big wins over Sibe Dalloway, Ozdemir, Dominic Reyes, Glover Teixeira. I mean, the 205-pound division is definitely one of the weaker divisions in the UFC for sure. Rakic 3-2, Jimmy Manuel win, Anthony Smith win. If you can't finish Anthony Smith, I don't know about that. He got KO'd from a leg injury by Blachowicz, and then he lost a split decision to Volkan Ozdemir. I think Yuri Prochazka gets back in the win column. He's just a far superior fighter, in my opinion. And Alexander Rakic has dealt with a ton of injuries in his career. And I think his body's starting to fail him a little bit, and Prochazka punches super hard. He's got great kicks, great elbows, great spinning attacks. I just think all this is going to be too much. If you can't finish a guy like Anthony Smith, who's looked terrible in his last few fights, you're going to have trouble beating a guy like Yuri Prochazka. And I think Prochazka is going to learn from that Alex Pereira loss. That was a really close fight before he ended up getting KO'd. He got caught coming in. That fight will be fun to run back. If Yuri Prochazka wins here and Pereira wins against Jamahal Hill in the main event, we could see them run that fight back for the 205 strap. I like Yuri Prochazka to win by finish. I'm going third round TKO for Yuri Prochazka. He's going to get back in the win column and get one step closer to getting that rematch with Alex Pereira and getting his belt back at 205. Let me know in the comments below. Do you like my picks? Do you hate my picks? If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps our channel grow. We appreciate you guys staying with us for this long-ass video. Enjoy UFC 300. It's going to be a lot of fun. Peace.